this is Mr. Peterson. This screencast is going to go through some vocabulary and hopefully help lay the groundwork, or if you have to go back and watch it again to kind of get the groundwork. So the big idea is that genes code for proteins, and those proteins are the things that really produce a wide range of traits. So DNA codes for proteins, and we'll talk about this other RNA stuff and where that fits in there. So DNA is made of genes. Genes are made of DNA. So you can have a bunch of different versions of a gene. So you could have round face or square, or you could have straight, wavy, or curly. Those are all different alleles. And so what happens is there are actually small changes in the genetic sequence, the A's and T's and G's and C's, which we'll talk about soon. Every gene is located on a chromosome, on a specific spot on a chromosome, and you call that a locus, like location. And it's very specific. The location, the locus is very specific. So an allele is the same gene, different codes. Each parent donates one allele for every particular gene. If the two genes are identical, we call it homozygous. So here the two wrinkled genes are homozygous. If you have one of each, that's called heterozygous. So in Face Lab, you all started out with heads or tails. So every organism, every person that started in that activity was heterozygous. And look at all the wide variety of results that you wound up with for that. So here's like little r, or little r, big R. So genes code for proteins, and genes do all kinds of things. They influence development of traits. If we talk about an organism's genome, that's all the genes that an organism have. The genotypes, those are the genes of an organism, like big A, big F, little f. Those are the genotypes. The phenotypes is what you see. So we've been throwing these terms around here, genotypes and phenotypes. So we can have purple color flowers, that's a phenotype. Little p for white, that is a genotype, like homozygous recessive. So here's a couple of eyeballs, right? So the phenotype is blue eyes or brown eyes, and then you can see that the genotypes are involved there. Again, that's a model. It's a little more complicated than that. We usually talk about alleles most of the time. Sometimes we get a little fancier than that, but we're mostly going to say the dominant alleles are capital letters, and the recessive alleles are lowercase letters, right? So you've been doing that since 7th grade. That's nothing new. Homozygous dominant and heterozygous genotypes can yield a dominant phenotype. That's a mouthful of stuff. So if we say that smooth pea pods is dominant over wrinkled pea pods, that smooth pea pod there in the background could be capital S, or it could be capital S, little s. But the other one that you know for sure of is like the wrinkled pea pod. That's little s, because that's recessive, homozygous recessive. So homozygous dominant phenotypes that makes it a little tricky. So just a quick short screencast about some of the terminology, genes and alleles and those kinds of things. So I hope that helps.